The CGI on that one is awful, but Spider-Man 3 is like so bad, and like I love it. It's like one of my favorite ones, but like everyone else in the whole world hates it. And I watched it again after watching Venom, and I was like, oh, I get it now.
I mean, it's an entertaining movie, but it's not a good movie.
No, and imagine the amount of memes we wouldn't have now if that movie didn't exist.
No, actually, yeah.
Like, there's the dance, there's the I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. Like, there's so much from that.
It's good.
Do you want to do the opening with us? We say the little thing. All right, 3, 2, 1. Good morning. Let's argue. Hey guys, welcome. We're talking about Spider-Man today with our very, very, very special guest, Dallin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Owner of the channel, It's Not Dallin, or not Dallin? Which one is it? Not yeah. Dallin. Don't get confused. It can be hard to understand at first.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely had me caught off guard. I texted him the link one time and I was like, "Is this you?" I was very surprised. But today we're talking about one of my favorite superheroes and one of the best movie series, in my opinion.
Your favorite superhero.
One of my favorite superheroes.
No, I thought it was your favorite.
No, it's up there though.
Who's
probably Batman?
There's
really?
no way.
Yeah, I love Batman, dude. Are you serious?
I mean, I knew you liked him, but like you have tons of Spider-Man collectibles and stuff, but no Batman.
I don't know. Have you guys played the Batman Arkham games? And that's exactly the difference between you and me, guys. I'm telling you. The Batman Arkham games are like, you know how Spider-Man is, like, the game is kind of immersive?
Yeah.
Batman Arkham is like you are literally just Batman. Like, there's not a single element of it that is not 100% immersive. So I love it.
I've heard great things about it.
I don't know. Maybe I've been seeing a lot of more Batman stuff recently. So maybe it's just that I haven't seen any Spider-Man things in a while. It had been my favorite for a long time, but I don't know. Maybe with Madam Web, it'll rekindle that.
I know, we need some more Spider movies.
I know, seriously. Like, I loved Across the Spider-Verse, and I'm super hyped for Beyond the Spider-Verse, but I kind of miss Tom Holland.
Beyond the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, it's the sequel that's coming out this March. Remember it was a cliffhanger at the end?
It's coming out this March?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You say that, but when you're sitting in the theater at the end of Across the Spider-Verse, you're like, it's a whole year away, bro.
Wait.
You can't expect me to just...
Is the trailer for the new one already out then?
No. Weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Even though Kung Fu Pandas has come out.
Wait,
Spoon Me 4s has come out, and it's not coming out until
There's
tomorrow.
no way it's coming out in like a month.
I know. That's ridiculous.
It still hasn't had a trailer.
It's either March or May, but either way, it should have had a trailer by now.
Watch it get delayed again. Like,
oh my gosh, because like all the strikes and stuff.
It probably will.
And you're right, Across the Spider-Verse got delayed too that one time. Okay, Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Honestly, at this point, it's just kind of expected, like, to have delays, because all the movies had delays.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because, like, the strikes totally made it, like, push it back.
Mm-hmm.
They almost pushed back the Sonic movie 3, but it turns out that
There's a third one?
Yeah. It's going to have Shadow the Hedgehog in it.
That was the big cliffhanger.
Dope. They already have a teaser for it, too. And here we are waiting on Beyond the Spider-Verse, too. So, like, I don't know, man. I'm confused. Beyond the Spider-Verse is... All we know is 2024 now. I could have sworn it said March before. But, you know, given the...
I thought I saw March somewhere.
What does it say?
It's just 2024 now. Wait, hold on. Is this a legit trailer? Nah, this is totally fake.
No.
Dang.
I hate those so much. They like
they make me want to die.
Like, real.
They make me want to die. They had like new art and everything. It's definitely concept art from the actual movie, so I got caught off guard. Either way, I'm excited for that. It was supposed to come out March this year. I remember that because the shoes that they were making, because you know how Miles has like the Nikes, they were gonna make alternate Miles with the Prowler Nikes, so they were gonna be purple and black. Ooh. And I wanted to. Oh, and they had pockets on the side too, and I wanted to order those ones. And I was like, oh, they come out in March, just like at the same time as the movie.
How much would those cost?
I don't know, like $150 probably, and then like $250 the next day when they were gone. But
yeah,
I don't know. I was super hyped for it. Either way, it does feel like we're being like starved of Spider-Man stuff. But
I mean, to be fair though, they really spoiled us with Spider-Man stuff for a while. So
that's
true. Yeah,
like when No Way Home came out.
No Way Home was, I mean, it was amazing.
I think that's like
that's when Spider-Man peaked.
Absolutely, that one was so good.
I don't know if that can be beat.
I don't know if it can. Honestly, that's a scary.
It's kind of a problem.
Like,
actually,
there's like a few things scaring me. One, Madam Web is being developed by Sony Marvel, which is hit or miss because they made Across the Spider-Verse, but they also made Morbius and Venom.
Ugh.
And Venom 2. So, like...
Well, first Venom was fine, but the
right,
second
but, like,
one was bad.
do you ever think for a single minute that Venom was, story-wise, a good film? Because it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. It's like a Transformers film in that way, where it's like, oh, yeah, this is...
yeah.
It's still not as bad as Transformers, as much as I love Transformers.
Like, we all know what we came for, and it's to watch Venom beat up Venom 2.0, but, like...
And then Venom 2 feels like it's 2 minutes long.
That one felt really short for no reason.
I mean, it was short. It was like 86 minutes.
Did I turn up the gain, or did I turn down the gain? I can't tell. Either way, I'm just going to set it back. Hello? Hello?
We may be really quiet there.
Whoa.
For us all
Did
a
I
minute.
accidentally turn it, like, to, like, the... I don't know. Either way, whatever.
It'll work.
It'll work. Said everyone before something didn't work. But I don't know. Like, I'm excited for Madam Web, but I don't know if I trust Sony with a movie ever again. Like, Morbius was so bad. And the best part was, like, in all the trailers, it's like, oh, here's a Spider-Man reference. Here's a Spider-Man reference. Here's Vulture in a scene that is not in the movie. The Spider-Man is not in the movie either, and there's no Oscorp building either. So it was, like, a bunch of basically false advertising, I guess. Can you even say that? Because, like, it's a movie, right? Do movies apply to that kind of thing? Because Avengers Infinity War did that 100 times. Where, like, they would edit the footage in the trailer to make it look like it was Hulk and stuff. But I don't know. Either way, it felt deceptive and rude. So, I don't know. It's concerning.
Also, Morbius feels like copy-paste of Venom 2.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's also another short movie.
I actually still haven't even seen that movie.
Oh, well,
so
you consider yourself lucky. Because it was not fun. It was Morbius fights Morbius. Again, just like the Venom movies, but actually worse. Like, significantly worse. But yeah, anyway, I guess we should bring it up. Madam Web is coming out eventually, and it's got Madam Web and, like, 3 other Spider-Girls from different multiverses. One of them has, like, the black and white suit, which is dope. The other one has, like, the Iron Spider legs. And the other one is there, so that's pretty cool, I suppose. Like, they're living their life. I hope they don't try to do the same, like, level of crazy cinematicness that No Way Home is trying to, like, did. Because, like, no one cares about these characters yet, you know? Like,
wait, is Madam Web a cartoon or a live action?
It's a live action.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. She was in the original, or no, not the original. She was in, like, the 80s cartoon for Spider-Man, which is pretty dope.
No, but yeah, I don't think movies can just copy and paste No Way Home.
No, I don't think they're...
Like, it's not going to work out too well.
Every single film nowadays is, like, trying to live up to the hype of, like, other movies. They're like, oh, we're bringing back this random character that 8 people who know this movie know. Like, that's
the problem with modern day film is they're
running out of ideas.
They're not creative. They're using the same ideas. It's getting boring.
Yeah, the same is
true. It worked
true
for No Way Home.
I'm actually going to say the same is true for Suicide Squad as well.
They also
had,
like
video games, I mean.
Years of build-up to No Way Home.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Like, you can't just
bring
out these new characters
exactly.
and expect it to, like, do as good and everything. Like,
Absolutely.
you have to build it up too.
Like, a good example of that would be, like, Puss in Boots didn't try too hard to, like, overdo itself, but it let you know it was going to be a good film because Puss in Boots was in it. So you already knew, like, what you knew about Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots 2 was better.
And then he was able to we don't even talk about the first one. But, like,
I like the first one.
I don't know, man. It got Humpty Dumpty dressed as a cat for, like, no reason at all. I don't know.
Okay, that was kind of weird, but...
like, Puss in Boots 1 is not the worst film ever created, but, like, it's not... Dude, this is bugging me. Like, why is it like this? I'm going to pause this and check it. Hold on. Okay, what about now? Can you hear my voice? Yeah, okay. That's fine.
We'll
keep it at that.
That's a lot better.
That's a lot better, yeah.
That's a lot better. But, like, Puss in Boots is, like, the same situation. It's like, you've seen the Shrek movies. You've seen Puss in Boots 1, unfortunately. And now you've seen Puss in Boots 2 do it, like, he's doing whatever because it's just moving on. Like, No Way Home is the same way. You know Tobey Maguire, you know Andrew Garfield. And if you don't, you know Tom Holland because you're watching a sequel to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And if you don't, then I don't even know why you're here. But for the people who are there, they're going to be like, oh, all this stuff, all these references are, like, accumulating into one cool cinematic film. And the villains contributed to that, too, because it's like, oh, you know Green Goblin is, like, the scariest dude in any Spider-Man movie ever. Or, like, you know Doc Ock. Or if you've seen Andrew Garfield films, there's Electro. So it's like a lot of movies are trying to replicate that level of like build up in one film, and it's just not going to work that way.
Oh yeah, I also think there's a lot of movies that like they bring in other characters too, and like the whole movie depends on that character. Like it wouldn't
absolutely.
be as big as it would normally have without those characters.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
so with Spider-Man, it's just Spider-Man in there. Even with No Way Home, yeah, they had like 3 different kinds of Spider-Man, but it's still just Spider-Man in that movie.
Yeah, you came for Spider-Man. No way, like either way you put it,
Yeah.
or you
like Doctor Strange 2, more like
who tried to put Wanda in there for no reason at all.
that was the Wanda movie.
Yeah, that was not a Doctor Strange film. That was WandaVision starring Doctor Strange. That was like on the box. There's a Donkey Kong Country game where at the top it just says New Funky Mode. It's like you can play as Funky Kong. That's what it felt like. It was like Doctor Strange starring Doctor Strange, by the way. In case you didn't know, because she's not the main character.
Doctor Strange is a whole other topic.
Yeah.
It's like the first one's amazing, and the second one is immensely disappointing.
Yeah,
That's happened a lot with Marvel sequels, like Thor: Love and Thunder too. Was like, how do you go from Doctor Strange to bad Doctor Strange, from Thor Ragnarok to bad Thor Ragnarok?
I know, like they peaked. They like that. Thor Ragnarok is one of my favorite movies.
It's probably
of all time.
the best Marvel movie ever. Like it's up there for sure.
And I had such high hopes for Love and Thunder, and it just
Same.
crashed and burned.
No, my whole family was sad.
Dude, I was like, they've got Christian Bale as the villain.
Yeah,
And like,
But he was good as a villain.
He was good, but he wasn't
2
on
seconds of
He wasn't even on the screen for most of the time. And you like see him like in the trailer, like there's all these dead bodies and stuff of like giant gods and stuff.
No,
It's like, by the way, that was the film. That's where he was.
I think they could have done so much better if they actually like showed scenes of what happened with those instead of just having this like high school montage of everything that happened.
Absolutely. It's like when like it's the difference between if you see Hulk stop that giant worm with one hand versus there's a dead giant worm on the floor and Hulk killed it, and that's like what you're told. It's like, wow, okay, cool. Can I see that?
They just they got really lazy with that movie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They've been lazy in general. But like, I feel like the biggest problem is they lost the chemistry between characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's part of the reason why Doctor Strange is so good, because they're all funny together. Like the characters played off of each other so well.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the second one, like
These are all like new, different people.
it just felt like
One
there
is
was
not even
something
the same person
always
in that movie.
missing.
Like,
You know.
yeah, and that's like we were saying with No Way Home's build up. Infinity War is exactly a perfect example of that. Like all those things you learned about all those characters is finally building up into one film where they're all going to meet each other, they're all going to fight together, and it's going to be epic. Endgame is like kind of like running out the time for like no reason at all, but like, you know, like it was still there, like the charm of it. But then you're like, okay, so now you can like never do that again because there's no new experiences that these characters have had. Yeah. And you're building all these character experiences together and they're not interesting at all because you're putting the most random combination. I mean, the Marvels movie, I saw that and it was like each character alone had things that were okay.
Has that came out?
Yeah, it came out. I saw it for free because I would rather watch it for free on a boat than I would pay for it. So that's what I did.
I didn't even realize that.
Oh, you don't need to see it. Actually, no. I'm gonna give credit. Marvels was actually a lot better than I ever thought it would be.
Was it better than the Miss Marvel show?
Oh yeah, I totally thought it was better. And again, Miss Marvel, just like in that show, was the best and only good part of that film in my mind. But like, there were some genuinely good parts of it, and I was still like, okay, these characters are all like defined, and Captain Marvel's not nearly as I can't say that word. I can't not nearly as bad as she was in Marvels as she was in the first movie. But again, like Miss Marvel is like the only thing anyone cares about in that film. She's like funny, she's like actually relatable on any level instead of a god who doesn't care about people and some random character who's been here for a show and one movie. So like, I don't know.
Wait, who's the actress for Captain Marvel?
Brie Larson.
Yeah.
I hate her in everything except for
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. She is so bland.
Yeah, she's so boring.
She's not a good actress.
I don't know. I don't get it because like bring it back to Spider-Man. It's like how can Brie Larson be cast in some of the coolest roles? Like Captain Marvel as a character is kind of dope in all fairness, and like in the comics she's pretty cool sometimes. Sometimes, but like
Only sometimes.
yeah. Like how can Brie Larson do so well in Scott Pilgrim and then not with not do the same with Captain Marvel when Andrew Garfield carries the Spider-Man movies he's in just by like being a good actor, and also is good in No Way Home. Like, how can you do that so poorly? And that's like one of the things I loved about No Way Home too, is because like I liked the Amazing Spider-Man film, like the first one. The second one makes me want to throw up and die. Yeah. Especially, do you guys remember when Gwen is falling and he shoots the web, and the web starts to turn into like a hand? I was like, what is going on here? What movie am I watching? Well, it looked like a scene of like some kind of Twilight fan fiction with Spider-Man in it. I was like so done. But like Andrew Garfield is such a good actor, and in No Way Home he was so funny and like so talented. I was freaking out when he came out.
He's in a few good movies. I think one of them's Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, I remember we brought it up during I think it was the Kung Fu Panda episode. But I don't know. That's the only other one we've talked about that as a movie though.
But he's actually a pretty decent actor. Mm-hmm. He's been in a few other things too, but I forgot.
Yeah. So like here's an interesting question though. What do you guys think is like the worst? I'm just gonna turn that down so it doesn't beep at me like crazy. Actually I'll turn it up just once. What do you guys think is the worst Spider-Man film? Like, of all of them? Because for me, a lot of the movies are really good. And I love Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hate it. For good reason.
Wait, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3?
Yeah. But, like, of every Spider-Man film you've ever seen, which one is your least favorite? Not including Morbius or the Venom movies. Because that's, like, there's Spider-Mans in there barely.
I'm just going to include Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland.
You're not going to include Spider-Verse?
Other stuff.
Actually, if Spider-Verse is your answer, then you're just wrong.
Yeah,
You're objectively wrong if you think Spider-Verse is the worst film.
We're not listing that as one of the answers.
It's like, oh, that's crazy because you're completely out of your mind.
Tobey Maguire.
You're out of line, but you're wrong. What?
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2.
That's your least favorite? That's like my third favorite one.
Really?
Yeah. I like 2, yeah.
Are we talking about the same one?
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2.
Tobey Maguire with Doc Ock.
Yes. I think that movie's terrible. I like Spider-Man 3 and the first Tobey Maguire. They're good. But the second
insane. You just dropped an actual bombshell.
I feel like the CGI is worse than the other two.
It was made in like 2002, bro. Like,
but it's bad. But also like
the CGI in the second one has actual puppets.
They
like,
have
real visual effects in the second one.
Well, it's in the other two Tobey Maguire movies too, but like there's always some girl who's screaming at the top of her lungs.
Oh, MJ?
Not always MJ. It just there's always a girl who's screaming.
I feel like it's MJ, quite frankly.
She does.
Yeah, she screams.
But there's
crazy. I remember there's being another one.
I don't know.
It's
a weird reason to complain about a movie, though.
It was just annoying.
Yeah,
but again,
tell that to Spider-Man.
That solid 2 seconds out of the whole movie.
It just ruins it.
But like,
garbage movie. Get him out of here.
Can't handle.
In my opinion,
can't handle listening to somebody
2
screaming.
seconds scream. 1 second's fine, but 2 seconds.
I get annoyed by that. And then.
So you're telling me that you like the movie with terrible CGI Sandman, Venom, and bad Green Goblin in it better than the second movie?
Yes, for sure.
I'm gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna cry because that's what Spider-Man would do. Like, what in the No, it's not. But like. Okay, I love Spider-Man 2. I don't know about you.
I liked it.
It's so good. Like, it's got some of the most interesting plot points because he's like got to deal with.
Okay, that's where I completely disagree. I think the plot is, in my opinion, bad.
Could you describe the plot?
So he's trying to harness the power of the sun, right?
Yeah.
And then like it collapses or something, and then the chip gets damaged, and then he's bad.
And he
Which
crazy.
That's the original character. That's not a problem with that.
All of the Spider-Man villains have stupid origin stories anyway. So
just the general. It's not Doc Ock himself. Some of the dialogue is too cheesy, and that is kind of
what is the third movie to you then? Because that movie has
the third movie.
I'm gonna put some dirt
cheesy.
in your eye. As an actual line said by a professional actor.
It's too much of a
The third one? Okay, that's fair. But, like...
The second one is not really memeable, though.
Okay, but, like... Yeah, it is. It's got the pizza time in it. Oh. When he shows up late and he's like, pizza time.
I forgot about that.
And the girl just looks at him like, you're like 15 minutes late. No, like... Okay, so the second one has the plot where he has to manage his life as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man to the best of his degree, and it's not working out. And he's having, like, trouble with MJ, and on top of it all, Doc Ock is, like, trying to, like, hurt people, kill people, rob banks, almost kills Aunt May, who, by the way, defends herself in the coolest way possible, because Aunt May is dope. Mm-hmm.
I guess it also has a train scene.
But then he also has the train
that,
scene, which is
yeah.
like the coolest scene in all of Spider-Man.
I think that, in my opinion, is the best part of the movie.
Oh, I agree. But then there's the part at the end too, where you're seeing Doc Ock realize why he's not a good villain, like he's not doing the right thing. Like you see him have a moment where he's like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible person. I'm gonna kill everyone. I guess I'll sacrifice myself to save New York or whatever. Like it's got like the most compelling villain of the series that isn't Green Goblin because it's not even close. And then it's got Spider-Man trying to manage his life in like the most like interesting way possible, and all the while he like has to look out for Doc Ock. And I love that. And like he has to like it's running Peter down to his limit, a lot like No Way Home does to MCU Peter. And that's like why I love it so much. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that it's ever been cheesy. Or
cheesy.
Yeah, what part of that was cheesy?
Some of the fight scenes and the dialogue from Doc Ock himself, I'd have to specifically watch it again. I have watched it recently.
I don't think you have. I'm going to be completely honest. If we're talking about the same film, you're crazy.
My older sister.
All right.
But yeah, I can't really handle it too much. Now,
that's intense,
that being
bro.
said, the movie has its parts that makes it a movie.
I too have my parts. Sorry. Anyways,
but to me, it's just a sequel. It's just filler. And it's Doc Ock, so that's kind of it.
All right. Whatever you say, idiot. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. All right.
So
that's an interesting point.
Now, you guys, what are you?
I want to hear Don's first.
I'm gonna go with not Tobey Maguire, the second movie of Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the second movie of Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with him.
I'm
on
just
that
like
one.
the whole movie. I'm just like, why?
I know.
I'm like, why did you have to do that? Like the writers be writers and everything, but like there was so many different things that you could have done that like could have made it a lot better.
I mean, if we want to talk about cheesy dialogue, Spider-Man 2 makes me want to puke into my shorts, that would feel better than having to listen to the.
I mean,
my gosh.
agree with you guys. That's my second least favorite.
Well, that's good. I've noticed this a while.
You redeemed yourself there.
The second Spider-Man movies have all seemed to follow a pattern of people not liking them. Except Tobey Maguire's, which most people love to death. Is actually the highest rated Spider-Man live action film. But like, it's interesting. That's all. But like, Far From Home, lots of people didn't like that movie, which I was surprised by because that's like one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like.
And then the Spider-Man 2 was appropriately deemed the worst Spider-Man film by most critics. And then a lot of people didn't like Across the Spider-Verse as much as Into the Spider-Verse, which
I agree.
Now that I've seen it like a few more times, I think I agree. I feel like Into the Spider-Verse had a more meaningful, like emotional weight to it, and it felt like it was like the way that it ended. It felt like you didn't need to keep going.
It's complete.
But I totally understand why they kept going because I genuinely do like Across the Spider-Verse. But I can be okay with Into the Spider-Verse existing in a bubble where there's no sequel, you know, because it was good. I liked it a lot.
Oh yeah, Across the Spider-Verse is like getting handed a puzzle with only half the pieces, which I mean it makes sense because it's like one of two parts.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so many other like little details in the movie that just
they don't add up.
They just get thrown in there and don't add up. Yeah.
Totally.
To me, the climax is when all the Spider-Mans are chasing. Miles.
Past that is like kind of
it's a little anticlimactic.
Running it on, but I liked the part when he was sent to a different universe because I remember sitting in the theater. My dad doesn't believe me, but I was like, "Oh, that says Earth 42. That's not right." And my dad, like, I told him like when they realized they were in the wrong universe, I was like, "Yeah, I guessed that because it said so on the thing." And he was like, "No, you didn't." And I was like, "Dude, it was like right there." And I actually heard other people in the theater go, and I was like, "Guys, it was like spelled out for you." But like, I don't know. My favorite reaction, though, to that movie in the theater was when the ending happened and everyone freaked out. I was like, I hate to break it to you guys, it was advertised to be 2 parts. The first thing we ever saw was that it said Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Which I forgot about that in the theater. I was like...
I texted everybody the day before and said, by the way, it's only one part of it, but I guess I missed a few people because... I did hear about a lot of people being like, I can't believe it was to be continued. And I was like, that's crazy because I can't believe that you missed out on that detail in like every trailer. But okay. Still.
Yeah. It's still a good movie. And putting the anticlimactic end aside, it's still a good movie, but I still prefer the first one. Absolutely. It's more fun. And of course, this one is still good, especially that all the Spider-Mans together.
Oh, that was so cool.
That was an amazing scene.
There's a bunch of cool references too.
The first one, I think, is for sure better.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You started talking first.
Okay. One of the biggest complaints I heard about the movie was how people were reacting to their favorite Spider people, like Spectacular Spider-Man, like from the TV show, agreeing with Miguel O'Hara. Like, some people were like, I've watched this show a million times, or I've read this comic a million times, and that guy would never agree with what Miguel O'Hara just said about, like, what Spider-Man's responsibility is to, like, the multiverse and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was, like, actually, like, the second biggest complaint I've heard from, like, big comic book fans, and I was, like, kind of surprised by that. I was like, honestly, I can see that, because I don't think Scarlet Spider would ever agree with Miguel O'Hara, but I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Also, I love Spot as a villain. Do you guys?
I thought he was hilarious.
I thought he was
great. And then he was, like, menacing, too.
I can't wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's going to, like, fill in everything.
Absolutely.
Complete it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good, hopefully climactic final fight, so.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it can have the same energy as the first one.
Yeah.
Because the second one, still a good movie, but there's still this energy that just
Wait a minute. You know when Donald Glover comes in and he's like live action?
Yeah.
Do they all think he looks weird, or do they all look animated to him? Because he's live action in that film. So does he look like he has some kind of weird 3D medical condition or something?
I don't know. I did really like that they did that, though.
That was pretty
I
cool.
thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying before I interrupted you?
Well, I was just saying how the Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to, like, fill in so many empty spots.
Really hope to see more cameos, too. I know, that's the scariest thing about, like, more Spider-Man stuff, is I'm like, I don't know if I trust the people handling these films anymore. Because for the longest time, like, when No Way Home was up in, like, shambles, I, like, remember when they were like, oh, no more Tom Holland in the MCU. And, like, Sony was, like, all pissy about the rights of Spider-Man. I was like, I trust MCU with Spider-Man way more. And now I'm like, I don't know if I trust any big corporation with Spider-Man anymore, because one of them made Morbius, and the other one made Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Amongst many other.
So
movies.
yeah, exactly. Like, Sony's had good films, actually, like Across the Spider-Verse and stuff. So I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be excited for Spider-Man films anymore, because if they fall flat, I'm gonna be like, okay, this is what it feels like to be a fan of DC movies. You know, like, oh great, this is gonna be wonderful, and now I can look forward to this movie getting butchered or something.
I think Marvel and DC are finally equal, because now
I don't know.
both of their
I feel
movies
like
are bad.
I feel like DC's actually kind of going off the rails too with a lot of their
they need
other stuff.
Well, DC's always been worse than Marvel, but now Marvel's gotten so bad with the
I think
movies,
that's subjective, but
it's
I mean, it's like
they're both terrible
most
now.
of DC, and then there's Marvel, and Marvel's like all the way up, like above DC. But then there's like Marvel and Batman movies that are like good, and it's kind of
like
equal.
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, yeah. Or like the newest one. I loved the Batman. That one is so sick.
I like that it was 3 hours long.
Yeah,
I'm not joking. I love long movies.
Yeah, that actually, I hate when people are like, "Oh, Dune is so slow," or "Dune is so slow." It's like, that's crazy.
Dune?
It's a 2-part movie about a book.
Yeah,
Dune is awesome.
That's insane.
I like that movie.
I love Dune.
Yeah,
I liked it more the second time I watched it, because I was
Really?
prepared for the anticlimactic ending.
I don't know. I was like, I don't really care if it's gonna be.
I actually just recently watched Dune, like last week.
Yeah.
Just because I was sick and had nothing else to do.
It's a good movie. It's so like beautiful and cinematic. You don't get that a lot anymore.
It's an amazing film.
It's like
They got
breathtaking.
the music right.
No,
The
yeah.
set is just so good.
There were so many times during the movie where I was like, holy crap, dude.
It felt like the original 3 Star Wars again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the CGI.
Oh,
it.
it was
like
Oh my gosh, it was phenomenal,
Yeah.
dude. I was freaking out. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm scared for the second one.
I don't know. I feel like it's in good hands because it's made by the same guys, and it's like it's still the same story, same actors and everything. So
I just have trust issues with films in general.
I think
now.
the only real reason that would make you hate it is like if the second part isn't as good, like structurally, like story wise, as the first one, because it's going to be like basically the same.
I think.
You know?
All right. Anyways,
I'm not even
before
gonna
we
know
were
what
so
happened.
rudely interrupted, I think Dune's gonna be a lot like Across the Spider-Verse. How Dune 2 is gonna be. You're gonna have to watch that in order to like really like Dune 1 a lot more. Like it's gonna fill in so many more gaps and stuff.
Absolutely. It'd be nice if I do wonder if they're gonna make it like Dune 2 is gonna be absolutely separate, like they're gonna start it differently, or if it's gonna
just straight up pick
like
off
just
where
straight
they
up pick
left.
up where it left off.
It will.
Because it probably, I figure it will either do like the cold open kind of thing where it's like, okay, remember what just happened at the end of the last movie? No, you don't. You didn't watch it. So here we go from wherever we just were. Or they're gonna do some kind of creepy opening with like the villain of the movie, who's technically wasn't in the first one at all, from what I remember. At least he was mentioned by name, I think. But like maybe lead with him in some way. I don't know. I haven't read the book in a long enough time to know how it's structured.
In the movie?
Well, there are villains
Wasn't
in
it
the first
the-
movie.
Well,
but,
I
like,
know that,
the
but-
overarching villain wasn't
Oh.
present physically
I like
in the first
it
film.
when they do that
Yeah.
with movies, having an overarching villain. You know, like Darth Vader.
Yeah,
He's the villain. You don't get to see him much until the final movie.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
feel like it creates.
He's
a
just
better
an
villain.
overarching, terrifying threat that you never
Or
really
like
get to see.
Palpatine.
Yeah, or not as much as those two, but like Thanos, the whole movie is like a complete threat. Like anyone who's on the same planet as Thanos is in danger.
Yeah.
Dude, Thanos was teased for years.
Yeah.
Like, and it just built up this great
Yeah,
suspense.
Thanos and Spider-Man both had a like huge build up to like their better movies. So I totally think it was.
I think
worth
yeah,
the
that's
wait.
why they did so good.
Yeah, and everyone who's like, oh, Kang isn't going to be a good villain. I'm like, dude, there's still like 5 movies to go before he comes in. Like, let it simmer a little bit before we decide that we hate this guy. But now, you know, after I've seen a few movies like Quantumania where he debuted for the first time, it was like an actual threat. I was like, no, they were totally right, and I'm just stupid. I'm an idiot for that because he ain't crap, dude. He got beat up by a bunch of ants. Like, literally just a bunch of ants. Gigantic ants.
Wait,
but
what was his
he
name
should be a
again?
god. Kang the Conqueror.
Oh, yeah.
He's from an Avengers time. He's like an older Avengers villain where
Which-
he went forward in time. Or no, he's from the future. Comes back in time to defeat the Avengers, and then when he gets back to the future, he's conquered the world, and the world is basically all his.
Oh, and Ant-Man 2 is basically a prequel for Loki Season 2.
Wait, do you mean Ant-Man 3?
Sorry, Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
My
Basically,
mistake.
anytime they bring an Ant-Man, though, it's like, here's a prequel to the other film you actually want to see. Because, like, Ant-Man 1 was like a lead-up for Civil War. Ant-Man 2 was a lead-up for Infinity War. Or I guess Endgame. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. And then
A little bit
Ant-Man...
of both.
Oh, yeah, because it's like right
It's
at the end of... It's like happening while Infinity War's happening. And then
Yeah.
the ending is the end of Infinity War.
yeah.
And then, like, the third Ant-Man is right before Loki. So, I don't know. I don't think they care about Ant-Man enough to give him his own movie that's completely detached.
They really don't care about him.
No,
I mean,
which is a shame, because
it's-
Paul Rudd is an amazing
His
actor.
3 movies are consistently mediocre.
Yeah.
Which I think the second one's the best.
I thought the first one... Oh, that's interesting. I liked the second one better than the third one. And the first one I thought was
the
really
third
funny
one
and good.
barely had Ant-Man in it.
Yeah, it
It
wasn't
was
really...
another
it wasn't really an
multiverse
Ant-Man
Doctor
movie.
Strange.
Was it just
problem.
me that felt like it was, like, not supposed to be about anyone in particular? It felt like it was just about the existence of the quantum realm or whatever. Because, like, Ant-Man and his daughter have, like, this huge fight at the beginning and are, like... She's like, oh, you're racist to aliens. And he's like, oh, my bad, or something. And they're, like, basically done. Like, that was the whole plot point between those two. There was no struggle between them at all after that. Because they were completely detached. So I was like... Cool, this feels like there's no conflict at all.
Yeah.
Like, there was no stakes at all. And I honestly think that's what makes... Like, the better Spider-Man films, the stakes are high. And that's what makes them, like, so important and cool.
I feel like as soon as they get past this King the Conqueror phase, like the whole, I forget what it's called, like phase, what number are we
Phase
in?
5 or 6,
Five or
whatever.
six,
Who
something
cares?
like that.
They're
Yeah.
just going to keep making up
As soon as we
numbers.
get past this, I think it'll get a lot better.
I hope
but like,
so.
because I'm not a huge fan of Kane.
Yeah, no, he's not. They haven't made him cool enough. Because I was personally excited for Kang. I love the character in the comics. He's, like, interesting and scary. But, like, you just dropped Thanos first.
Exactly.
Like, you just used your ace in the hole, and now you've got nothing left.
Like, yeah, they need to build up King to be more of a Thanos type threat.
You can't just put him into a movie and make him look like a complete joke out of nowhere. And then expect us to be like, oh man, can't wait for the Avengers to fight that guy because it's going to be hard. No, it's not. Ant-Man just did it. The guy who isn't even really that big of a threat. Like, you could
Literally,
beat him
he's
by yourself,
tiny.
technically. Yeah. Like, and even when he... Oh, that was good. And even when he is small, he punches just as hard as he would when he's big. Like, oh no, I gotta fight an
more.
average dude. Yeah, so like, oh well.
Ant-Man, though, he's honestly the best in the Avengers movies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And his
mean,
own
his
films
movies
is
are
much
whatever,
worse, in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't help that they... Like, Marvel when it first started, right, made me care about these characters who wouldn't mean nothing to me. I don't give a flying crap about Iron Man prior to 2008. And I never was reading comics when I was little. But when I grew up and watched the Iron Man films, I was like, whoa, this guy's dope.
The first
I was like,
Iron
he's
Man,
so cool. But up until that point, I was like, Iron Man's a punk. Like, he's stupid and no one cares. But, like, now he's, like, so cool. And in the MCU, that's how it started, was with the weirdest superhero to start with ever. They could have gone with Thor or Captain America. Mm-hmm. And not only was Thor's movie bad by comparison, but they also just didn't use Captain America. I don't know. I'm just shocked by that fact. And now it feels like they're taking these characters that people actually care about, like Doctor Strange. America Chavez is pretty popular with, like, the
hate
LGBTQIA plus community and stuff.
So much.
But, like, either way, these characters are popular and very well liked. And MCU is like, yeah, let's just change them completely, ruin their characters by not giving them a personality, call it a day. It's so annoying. They're just having more characters so that they can make more money by having those characters
Quantity
exist.
over quality. That's exactly what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They just care about the money.
Yeah, and the worst part is
sad.
I don't think Disney even cares that their business with MCU is failing. It feels like they're just like, yeah, sure, go ahead, we don't care.
They're not losing money, but they're definitely making way less money than they used to.
Marvel's was like the biggest flop in MCU history because they spent way too much on that movie and it got like nothing. It was like the least grossing film in the whole franchise. So
yeah, it was worse than the one Hulk movie.
Yeah, seriously, how do you do that, dude?
Yeah, that's...
Can anyone make a good Hulk movie ever? Like, it seems like that's not a possibility.
If it was made between like 2010 and 2020, it may have been possible, but
I guess not.
Nope.
I don't know. I would have given Hulk to the guy who did Iron Man, me personally. Or
Yeah.
I love the Iron Man movie.
I think it's pretty difficult to make an actual good movie about Hulk because the whole banner personality and everything of Hulk is like there's not a lot going on in his life.
It's kind of what Thor Ragnarok's for. I feel like it's kind of
Thor doesn't have that extra.
I mean, Thor's the main character. Yeah. Obviously, he's not overshadowed by Hulk, but like it's kind of in a way a Hulk movie.
Yeah, maybe that's what makes it like tough. Is like outside of Steve Rogers, who's just Captain America, and everyone knows that. It's like Iron Man, Spider-Man. That what makes them compelling is, well, at first for Iron Man, it's not this much anymore. But like their secret identity and their double life and the need to manage that is kind of what makes them interesting. Bruce Banner, it's like there's not a ton of ways to make that interesting when his normal life has nothing going on outside of I've got to not Hulk out and murder 100 people because I can't control this giant green beast in my body. You know,
that's like the story of
that's the story of basically everything. And you know what made it work in my opinion was like Age of Ultron, where it was like you physically have other Avengers having to worry about Hulk. Mm-hmm. And I think what would have made a good Hulk movie is if Hulk is existing and has to like do something that other heroes think is immoral or wrong, but from his perspective he knows it's the right thing, and so he has to like fight his friends instead, because fighting Abomination is not going to feel cool until I actually care about Bruce Banner at all, and right now it doesn't seem like there's any way to do that.
Now Mark Ruffalo though, he's a pretty good actor, I think.
He's amazing.
He did really good for Hulk.
If they ever did a Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo, if they actually knew how to make a good movie anymore, then like it could be better. Maybe not good. But.
And the She-Hulk series was like the nail in the coffin for Hulk in general. Like they'll never make anything Hulk related ever again.
Oh my god.
Hopefully, at least.
I stopped halfway through that.
Oh, I watched the whole thing. I had to know if it ever got better, and it didn't.
The ending was so weird.
It actually got worse, if you can believe that.
Do you
she thinks she's ending? Deadpool or something. Like, She-Hulk has been known to like break the fourth wall occasionally, but in the ending of She-Hulk, she literally stops the show from happening, leaves Disney Plus to go talk to the Making of Marvel's cast so that she can find Kevin, is it Feige or whatever his name is? The like overarching like MCU CEO, and talk to him, who is a robot algorithm designed to make good MCU movies, which would be a lot funnier if we had any good MCU movies recently. But I was like, what am I watching right now? Like, not only is this not funny, but it's also weird and a terrible cop-out. They were like, oh man, she literally in the show says, wow, this ending sucks, we should change it. It's like, wow, that's crazy. You guys knew ahead of time before releasing that no one was going to watch an ending if it didn't end with a joke, and it still stinks.
Down,
that was just my tangent.
Look it up on YouTube.
It is actually the worst moment in MCU history I've ever seen, and I've watched Secret Invasion, so I know, like, it's bad.
Yeah, Secret Invasion was a joke. There was something I saw, and it was in Free Guy, the final fight scene where he has like Hulk's hand and then Captain America's shield and everything,
like,
and then there was text on it, and it was saying Secret Invasion finale.
Absolutely.
And I was like, yep, that was exactly it.
You know why it worked in Free Guy is because it was hilarious. But oh my gosh, and completely detached from Marvel in general. But whatever.
Not Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show.
Yeah,
I stopped that one halfway through. I got really bored.
The villain is the only good part of that, and he kind of doesn't do anything. And then I don't know if you guys, did you watch all of that show?
Yeah.
The ending was super weird.
Yeah.
Because Falcon's like mad at this governor or something for like hating terrorists. He's like, well, you didn't give these people proper places to live. He's like, yeah, dude, we know. That's like happened to the entire world. Half of the population literally ceased to exist.
No, yeah, that whole show, I was just like...
It was so confusing.
It was like, it ended so weirdly and abruptly. I was like, wait. It's over.
It felt unjustified.
Like, it didn't feel finished.
Like, who
and then I think they have a second season of it coming out soon.
I don't know.
Just to
I don't
say
know.
more things about white people existing being a racist thing. But that's a lot of what it feels like watching these shows nowadays. Like, I don't even want to... I haven't seen Black Panther 2, but...
You haven't?
No, but I have
It was... I liked it. I mean... Yeah. Out of all the recent Marvel movies and shows that have came out, I think it was...
But like, rated out of 10.
But...
I'm surprised, because I've only heard terrible things about it.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Or, in fact, I want to say terrible things. Shame. I haven't heard about it, which is a terrible thing.
I feel like Chadwick Boseman dying should have, like... It would have been nice to address him as a tribute, but I don't think we got to bring that into the movies to make a movie about it, and then... Because from what I've heard, the first 30 minutes of it is like, oh, here's a tribute to like Chadwick.
Yeah, it was
like he's dead, and then like the rest of it is like completely unrelated. It's like, oh yeah, now it's about Shuri or whatever. And I was like, okay,
it's kind of sad that Chadwick Boseman died.
Oh, absolutely, he was great.
Which is kind of fault for the movie not being Black Panther essentially.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel kind of bad because I hated the first Black Panther, and I'm probably the only person who's an MCU fan who thinks that way. I love him in Civil War. But Black Panther is a snooze fest. I was bored the whole time. But that's a whole different thing. I just felt like nothing was happening. Panther?
I was a big fan of it. Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like nothing was happening, and when something was happening, I was like, okay, this is another MCU fight scene. But there were some interesting parts, and I liked the villain a lot because Michael B. Jordan is dope. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know. It wasn't working for me. But like either way, it was like I don't know that we need to address Chadwick Boseman dying by making a whole movie about Black Panther that doesn't even have him in it. Like, obviously you can't have him in it. So why make a movie at all?
They CGI'd him, which is kind of tough.
Yeah, because that worked for Star Wars. Sorry, just joking. That was just meant to be a roast. That was meant to roast Star Wars, not you.
Ron did it in 2010.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, Princess Leia looked great in her appearance, and so did every other character in The Mandalorian who got CGI'd in. But, I don't know. It's another example of, like, I feel like Hollywood's running out of ideas. It's like, oh, Chadwick Boseman died? I feel like Kevin Feige heard that and thought, that's an opportunity to make money. Because that seems like all he's going for nowadays.
Money.
Yeah. I mean, the ending of Marvels, to spoil it for you, I don't really care. Because you guys probably won't watch it. The end credit scene had the X-Men in it. And one of them was Captain Rambeau's daughter. Not playing Captain Marvel like she did in WandaVision, thank God. And then Frasier, the guy who plays Frasier, I don't know if you guys ever watched that show, but it was like a really famous TV show, and he's in Cheers, is playing Beast in X-Men. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, you just dropped like 3 celebrity appearances out of nowhere, and the X-Men at the end of a movie that no one watched, by the way, except for me, for free, so I didn't even pay for it, in a movie that already wasn't that good, and was just out of nowhere. Like, you guys are just trying to do anything in your mind to make MCU fans feel that dopamine rush that you gave them for like
a lot
years.
Of these movies and shows right now, that are happening right now aren't connected together at all. Like all the ones like 10 years ago, they were all building off of each other to lead up to Infinity War and Endgame.
Absolutely.
But now it's just like, oh, here's a movie. Oh, and here's another movie.
They will like take a cool villain and throw it away too.
Yeah.
Like Christian Bale.
Yeah, or Black Widow with Taskmaster, who died at the like near the end of the movie, just gone forever. Like it worked for the older movies because they were like Whiplash, who like 5 people care about. I think it's cool, but like whatever. And like a bunch of other random villains that aren't even like super like plot pointy heavy. And then you have the Avengers movies who have the really cool villains that you actually care about. And there's a good reason for that. Because they'll stick around for a while, or they've been around for a while, and then it'll work because it's more impactful. But then you add freaking Taskmaster, one of the most famous Marvel villains ever, into Black Widow to die before Black Widow's met any of the other. I don't get it. It was so dumb.
Yeah. But that's what's so good about the earlier Marvel movies. Like they'd have like the sidekick villain who is the main villain of the movie, but he's connected to the bigger villain.
Exactly, and all those villains' attacks are connected to the other movies. But it also worked because you could keep it separate. Like you didn't have to have Thor be in an Iron Man movie just because you have both of them. And that made it really cool, obviously, because it's like, oh, cool. That's why these two things are connected, and you have to like use your brain. You know, it's not gonna like shove it down your throat like Doctor Strange did. And on top of that, they're just like, it's like they're spoiling us, but like with gross food. You know, it's like here's 1 billion old Pringles. Like, eat them up. Like, I don't want these. And it's like, too bad. You've got a ton of them and nothing to do with them. So it's like they're passing out these bad movies with all these new characters. And MCU fans fall for it because they used to trust Disney and they used to trust MCU. And they're like, hey, maybe this movie will be good. And it never is. So it's like, oh my gosh. Like, if DC had this power to just make movies make money, there would be more than like 2 DC films every other year. Like, it would be unreal.
Oh, yeah.
But no, Marvel's just pumping out bad movies with increasingly worse CGI. And there's like 4 a year with 6 TV shows. And I'm like, I don't even know what to watch anymore. You guys are just pumping it out and I don't even know where to start. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like the hype isn't as much as it used to be.
Yeah. You can't hype people up with nothing.
Remember,
and that's what they're trying to do.
When we were in middle school, like 6th, 7th grade, man, we heard of the new Marvel movie. You got like 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
It was hype.
Yo, yeah.
Everyone was excited.
Everyone was talking about it. And now I didn't even realize Marvel's was out.
Yeah. I didn't either until I got on the cruise ship. And
I haven't
like,
heard
by the way,
anybody talk about it.
Like, Disney told me to my face, essentially, oh, by the way, we have Marvel on the cruise ship, and it's free. It's like, oh, okay, dope, because you guys don't want us spending money on it, probably. Because we'd be mad and jump off the boat.
Oh, I miss quality over quantity.
Yeah, me too. But, again, you know what has a lot of quality and a lot of quantity? The Spider-Man movie series. And I'm scared for where that goes, because now I don't even trust the people making these movies anymore.
Hey, let's at least look at the bright side. We have a lot of good Spider-Man movies.
A lot of good
Even if the second Tobey Maguire movie is bad, in my opinion, it's still good
Okay,
enough.
buddy, you don't need to rub it on our faces.
I
while
still
we're
watch
cursed
it. When I'm watching all the Spider-Mans, I still watch it.
That's great, but you need to stop pooping on its grave, which is covered in flowers and spotlights because it's that good. Like, I've met several people who have said Spider-Man 2 is their favorite movie of all time. And now you're over here, like, talking crap about it. And I don't hate you for having an opinion, but I hate you for, like, using it, you know? Like, I'm like, okay, that's great. Thanks
Once is
for
enough.
proving your point, but you're done now. So, I'm just joking. Like, I get it. But,
Hey,
yeah.
we have the best Spider-Man movie, No Way Home.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, actually, what are your guys' favorite Spider-Man movies?
No Way Home.
No Way Home?
It's No Way. Oh, okay. I gotta admit, the nostalgia from Homecoming
is
on par with
I was
No
about
Way
to say,
Home.
actually, that's like, if you couldn't choose No Way Home, I would choose Homecoming.
Mine is, it's either No Way Home or Far From Home, but I'm actually kind of like,
I feel
debatable.
like what's interesting about the Tom Holland series of Spider-Man is that they never actually like introduced him as just a normal Peter Parker. Like
no,
they just
it was great.
They
You
put
just
him,
knew who Spider-Man was.
they just put him into the storyline as Spider-Man.
Yeah. Because, like,
it's
who
so
doesn't know who
refreshing.
Spider-Man is at this point? And for Tobey Maguire, I think it worked because it was like, okay, well, it's the first Spider-Man movie that's, like, really going to make waves. Let's make a cool And it wasn't exactly the same because he's got the automatic like built-in webs in his arms. So it was interesting and different. So you got to explain that.
Garfield too.
I kind of agree, but not as much because I think the Uncle Ben part of the Tobey Maguire version, Andrew Garfield version was like more compelling than it has been in the past. But I also felt like I didn't feel it necessarily needed to be there, but I'm not mad that it was. And then with Homecoming, I was like, actually Civil War, because he was introduced in Civil War.
Right.
I was like, honestly, the fact that we know everything about Spider-Man. Everyone knows the story at least of Spider-Man. So I was like, this is perfect. Like, you don't need to overdo it. You don't need to have us like spending unnecessary time on an Uncle Ben scene that we've all seen a million times. And on top of that, it also adds the mystery of like, what was his Uncle Ben like? Like, is his Uncle Ben different? How did things happen? Did Peter kill a guy like every other Spider-Man did after finding out Uncle Ben died? So it's like a bunch of unanswered questions. But then we got that moment in No Way Home where Aunt May dies, and I cried like a little baby. And I was like,
no, that was like actually one of the saddest.
It was
scenes.
so impactful. And how many people cried at the Uncle Ben scenes in Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire? I'll tell you how many. 0.
I'm a big crier in movies, and I don't think I cried in
Exactly.
movies.
I mean, unless they cry about any mention of death, then they're not going to cry, because who cares? Like, we didn't know anything about these guys, but Aunt May has been with us through Civil War, parts of Infinity War, I believe.
Homecoming.
She was, I think he reunited with her in Endgame. Or no, they talk about it in Far From Home. But yeah, like, she's in all 3 Spider-Man films. And she's like, you've grown attached to them because she's actually a funny and cool character. And I love Aunt May in the Homecoming movies because she's great. And so when she died, I was like, she said the, like, with great power comes great responsibility thing. And I just lost my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, if she dies right now, I'm going to cry like a baby. And, so much more impactful than any other death scene in the Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's just the worst.
The build up to it, like once again, the build ups.
It worked so well.
What makes it work?
Who I think his name is Jeff Fowler, who did the Spider-Man movies for Tom Holland. He did an absolutely amazing job. The casting is great. All of those movies are like so well executed, which makes me curious as to how people can dislike those movies. They're all like, "Oh, it's just like Tony Stark Jr. Spider-Man," and I'm like, no, it's not. Like,
people
Tony Stark,
like those movies?
Tony Stark is part of what makes him have his unique personality and makes an impactful death for Spider-Man yet again. And it's like, why are you upset about him having a friend? Like, it's all these burned comic fans because in the comics, Spider-Man has the worst life in existence. Like, everything bad that could ever happen to him does. He dies like 4 times. So it's like, I feel like people are like, oh, to see a Spider-Man living a good life sucks because like he's actually okay living his life and stuff
until No Way Home.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he actually, like, oh guys, guess what, he actually has like a miserable life now, get over it. But I don't know, like, I don't get how people can dislike that character because Tom Holland portrays Peter Parker better than anyone.
He's also just well developed.
Yeah, I feel like, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man, like in terms of like being Spider-Man, has to be Andrew Garfield. But like, I know lots of people think it's Tobey Maguire, and I could agree with that. But Peter Parker by far is at his best when he's played by Tom Holland.
I think Tom Holland is better both ways.
I would say I think he's good at Spider-Man too, but like Andrew Garfield has like that wit and like dry humor that Spider-Man typically does. Like when Spider-Man's kicking a villain in the face or like throws something at someone and says something funny.
First Andrew Garfield movie.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't saying the second one. Don't hold me to that. I hate the second one so bad, please. But like, he feels like he's got like that sass to him, even when he's just Peter Parker.
Yeah.
That Spider-Man is like known to have. If you guys ever watch the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show, that's Spider-Man on my mind, is like joking all the time. And like, Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker is not as Peter Parker-y as Tobey Maguire's or Tom Holland's, but I think Tom Holland is the most relatable, and he's a teenager. Like, Tobey Maguire feels like an adult.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield feels like an adult. Tom Holland is a teenager, like, through and through. He acts exactly how I did when I was 15 and still act sometimes. And Ned does, and MJ does. Like, I love it. And that makes it so much better to me.
I think Tom Holland in general is just
he's
so
an
good.
amazing actor.
He plays the same character in like every movie, but like
does he?
He
I don't
does.
know. I feel like
Uncharted.
I feel like his humor is a bit similar in most movies, but like in Uncharted, he's got a bit more of like an angst and anger to him than you would in like Spider-Man. I see what you mean.
I love him.
He's very similar, but like I don't know. I like him as an actor. He's very
Uncharted is an underrated movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I'm not.
People are just like.
I don't play Uncharted
so
games as
weird
much as the people who hate the movie, so I can understand why I probably don't get it. Because I bet, could you imagine being an Uncharted fan and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I loved that movie," and you're just like sitting there like, "No, everything about it was wrong." Like when I saw the first Sonic movie, I was like, "That was the most like that was Hop." That was literally just Hop, but with Sonic in it. And, like, with a road trip in Sonic. And I was like, that was, like, okay. And there were a few references, but overall, I think that sucked. And people are like, oh, that was so funny and cute and stuff. And I was just like, dude, why were there so many humans? Like, there was no Tails, no Knuckles. I was, like, so mad.
And then we got the second one.
And we got a second one, and it was great. And I was like, okay, is this how Uncharted
now you can
feel?
see the first movie is good.
I can see there are good things about it.
I played through the Uncharted games... And, like, I don't see what the issue is.
I think it's more so about the personality of characters. From what I've heard, people don't like that Mark Wahlberg played whatever his name was. I already forgot. See, that's the thing. I don't even know these characters' names.
I thought Mark Wahlberg did a good job.
Or Nathan Drake. Gosh dang it. But, like, I feel like a lot of people are probably like, oh, the personalities were like what I've heard the most of was Mark Wahlberg played Mark Wahlberg as he always does, and Tom Holland did not play Nathan Drake. That's what I've heard the most of. And I was like,
it's
okay,
true.
I don't know, but...
But they like still play great characters that work well together.
Yeah, I just think it's like I completely agree with what you're saying, and I loved that about the movie. I thought they were well cast and good at playing who they were scripted to play. But if I was an Uncharted fan and I didn't think that was Uncharted, I would be mad too. So,
but yeah, I played through the Uncharted games, and the movie is just like the Uncharted games. It has the unrealistic fantasy violence.
My favorite part by far was the airplane scene. And the whole time I was watching it, I felt so stupid because I was like, why doesn't he just like and like pull his way up like an idiot? I was like, yeah, he's Tom Holland. He can just shoot webs out of his arms. I don't know why I thought because it was Tom Holland, it was Spider-Man, but I was still like, oh, what's he doing? Oh my gosh. But yeah, Tom Holland's a great actor, and I think he plays Peter Parker amazingly. And Spider-Man, like, definitely like the second best Spider-Man to me, but I can see why people like Tobey Maguire better because he's still pretty funny.
Okay, I want to digress.
That's what I keep thinking of.
I'm going to completely digress here. We should talk about how Loki is one of the most well-developed characters ever.
I agree.
Oh yeah, actually, absolutely.
With his villain show and everything.
Yeah. You know what's insane about Loki though is like, I saw Avengers before any of the Thor movies, and I still thought he was one of the most well-rounded personality-wise characters in that film. I was like, dude, I don't even know this guy, and I already get what he's all about.
Loki is perfect in every movie, even Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, no, he's the best actor in all of those films. Hayden Christensen plays Loki exactly the way that people, like, he is Loki whenever I see him. I can't see him any other way because he just embodies that character really well.
And the first Thor movie is controversial. I think just because it's kind of boring.
I think the first and second one are both controversial.
Which I think the first one's a really good movie, but it takes some energy to stay focused in it.
Yeah, the second one though is just bad.
Is really good in it.
The second one is just
it's filler.
Very, very bad.
Actually, no.
It's more like character development with a fight for no reason.
I forgot. Actually, it is important because it has the Infinity Stone. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the ether thing or whatever, like the reality stone.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was definitely like filler to a degree, though.
I actually hated that movie.
Yeah, it made me want to cry.
Yeah,
I actually fell asleep watching it one time. It was like 9 a.m. Like I was awake.
Wasn't it? Isn't it like one of the lowest rated Marvel movies too?
Yes. Actually, most of the Thor movies are. Just saying.
Okay, Thor Ragnarok though is perfection.
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I think Thor Ragnarok has to be like top 3 Marvel movies with no competition.
Top 3 of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. Like it's not. I can't imagine that it's not only good at being Thor, but it's also good at just being a good movie.
It is perfect.
And I know we've said the T word now because I hate talking about Thor, but Thor Ragnarok is so good.
I feel like you don't even need to have watched the previous Thor
Nothing.
movies.
You have to watch nothing.
Like,
it explains everything.
You just watch that and it's there for you.
And you'll laugh way harder if you've seen the other movies.
Oh,
But, like,
so good.
you'll laugh regardless.
Uh-huh.
But like you know, he sees Hulk and he's like, "Yes, we know each other. We're friends from work." And like Loki's like sitting there like freaking. He's like, I gotta get off. Like he says, I've got to get off this planet. That's how much of a threat he sees Hulk as. This god is like, I gotta get out of here
the
now.
flashback like references too.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, everything.
That was the perfect movie. Every character
Yeah.
was just perfect. Every villain, all the heroes, whatever.
Oh, so well
The
developed.
humor was so
I
good.
loved-
the fighting.
John,
The music,
Oh,
too.
what's his name? Goldblum. What's his first name? I don't know.
Grandmaster.
Yeah, I don't know. He's in the Jurassic Park movies. I don't remember his
yeah.
first name.
Oh, my
He
gosh.
is amazing. He plays his role perfectly. Valkyrie? I don't know how to say it. Plays her role perfectly.
Yeah.
She's like my least favorite character from that movie in terms of
they
ruined her. But-
picked out actors like perfectly.
Oh
for
yeah,
that movie.
yeah. No, the casting.
The casting, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Not only was the casting
stellar.
perfect, but the character development. They introduced so many new characters and villains, but they developed them perfectly in a short amount of
Without
time.
having to
Within
linger
one
on
movie.
it too long. Like you were never like too focused on all the sad stuff. And even if you were, it's like, okay, but this is like necessary, you know? On top of that, we've got some of the best fight scenes and some of the best music I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. Like the ending fight scene, I was like in my seat, like, yeah, get him, Thor, yeah, bait him out. Or like when you're like, when the Hulk tosses that dog.
Stood up.
Oh,
my
dude,
arms and whatever.
so good.
What's that called?
Goosebumps.
Yeah, Goosebumps.
Yeah. I mean, like, even the characters who no one cared about were, like, still pretty funny. Like, who was
Yeah.
that fat lady who really hated Valkyrie? She was hilarious for, like,
And
no
Korg.
reason. Yeah.
Oh my
and
God.
Korg.
I love Korg.
That is some of
And
Taika
Meeks.
Waititi's best work. I can't believe that the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok also did Thor Love and Thunder. That is the biggest shift I've ever seen. And Thor Love and Thunder tried so hard to be Ragnarok. And even if it tried...
I feel like that's why it
I
wasn't
think that
as
might have
good,
been
because they
what it
tried
failed,
too
yeah.
hard.
Because like I think it probably would have been good, but what I imagine is Marvel, like the higher ups in Marvel, would probably like, by the way, you have to include this, and this. Because like there were some good parts of Thor: Love and Thunder. I hate to admit it, but like so much of what made Ragnarok good was still in there. Like the beginning of the movie, I thought was hilarious, where he like destroys that palace on accident after saving it from all those aliens. That was amazing. I loved that part. And then after that, I was like, okay, this is kind of stupid.
No, yeah, their comedy throughout the movie wasn't like cheesy and stuff like it is nowadays.
Absolutely.
Like it's just there and it fits in perfectly. It flows with the story and everything.
Exactly.
It doesn't ruin it.
And you laugh
And
for a
Thor Love and
reason.
Thunder? Uh-huh.
Like remember in Ragnarok?
Ragnarok.
Like remember in Ragnarok where there's like that passive,
It's not that funny.
like there's that passive joke about how Loki turned into a snake one time and
That
like
was
bit
so
Thor,
good.
and you just see Loki like smiling and you laugh because you're laughing now. Like it was funny, but like you're watching Love and Thunder, you're like, oh, this is the worst. You guys are shoving this down my throat. Like the screaming goats is the perfect example of that. Whose idea was that? That hasn't been funny since 2011. I still laughed because I'm a dumb idiot, but like I was laughing because I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I was like laughing because it was so funny. It's like, you know, when you're like watching a bad movie and you're like, wow, I can't believe how horrible this is, and you can't help but laugh. That's kind of what it felt like. I'm like, wow, this is just keeps getting worse. I can't believe
I feel like
this.
that's the problem we have
Yeah.
with the nowadays movies and everything with MCU. Like it's they just try too hard.
Yeah.
Like back
They're
then
overdoing
with,
it. Like just do what you want to do with
back
the
then
movie.
with like Iron Man 1, they also had like no expectations,
Yeah.
which I
They
can
just made a
get,
film.
but like at the same time they were just making a movie about a comic book that they once had like 50 years ago, and now it's all of a sudden it's a movie. Everybody loved it, but now it's like you can still do it now. It's just they're trying too hard.
Totally.
Like
I want to say though, Iron Man 1 is such a good movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite part is still when he's like held hostage and then he
The beginning.
breaks free and blows up.
Dude, the tone of that movie is perfectly captured because it has time to be funny, but it is when it wants to be serious.
and its soundtrack too.
Yeah.
Like I love the
Good.
soundtrack.
The The Man 2 was done entirely by AC/DC.
It actually had a better soundtrack than the first one.
Yeah. And like the best part in my opinion is like, I don't know, I think it was the first one. Yeah, it's like when he's getting back at the terrorist with his new suit.
Yes.
He shoots that tank and starts walking away and it blows up. And I was like,
So
this
good.
is how you make a superhero look sick, dude. He
it
did
wasn't
not
like-
even care who was over. He was like, F you. It might have been a middle finger missile. Just
wasn't like CGI. I think those were like real.
Yeah, they had live explosives.
Yeah,
Only Iron Man was actually Iron Man might have even because they have a real suit for Iron Man too, like a physical suit that he can wear on set. But like, never has there been a better example of like what you're talking about. Is like their goal with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was just to continue what they were doing with the other Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So obviously, they're capable of having these movies continue to exist without being bad. Because in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was one of, if not the best of the three. I love it.
It's my least favorite.
Well,
it's good.
But they're all good though. So
I like 2
is
the
my
most.
favorite.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of hard to... my point is, they're all good. And the fact that they can all be good says something. So you can't just, like, blame it on... like, oh, the synergy's not working. Like, the higher-ups or, like, whoever's doing business can't be like, oh, this is not working. We got to get rid of it. Like, that's not the case. Because Guardians of the Galaxy persists to be good for 3 movies in a row. So, and Iron Man, 3 in a row.
I feel like Iron Man, the 3 Iron Man movies and the 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies mirror each other a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
They both start out the same. The second movie is the second movie. It's great and everything. And then the third movie, it changes a little bit, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Like, it still follows the same story.
You still feel that same feeling, like, oh, I'm watching an Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm watching a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And other series can't capture that. Outside of Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man does... That one's kind of all over the place because the tone is super different in all of the Tom Holland movies. But, like, it's still good all 3 times. Mm-hmm. And even if, like, Thor has had some hiccups, the third one can continue to exist well, and the fourth one. That's not something you're incapable of doing, but you need to have a goal and a structure, and the goal and the structure have to exist at the same time. You can't just have all structure with just it doesn't even know what it's doing. Like Thor: Love and Thunder doesn't even know what it's doing. It's just tossing ideas out. It's like, oh, female Thor. Oh, Valkyrie can whatever. Or oh, naked Thor. Oh, gods of Olympus or whatever. Like, oh, bad guy who isn't in the movie. Like maybe sometimes coin flip. Is he in the movie?
They need to make it. All they had to do was make it flow nicer, and I think it would have worked. Like that's what happened with Ragnarok. Like it flowed so perfectly.
Absolutely, there was not a single stop, and there was not a single reason to stop because it just kept going.
Ragnarok was perfection.
Absolutely, one of the
No Way Home
the best film ever made.
Is an amazing movie, but it's close to Thor Ragnarok in my opinion. Like very close, but Thor Ragnarok is still perfection.
Yeah, and No Way Home only struggles for the reasons I just said. It's like it has a lot of ideas.
It's more serious.
And I don't think you can do what you can with Thor Ragnarok, what you can with a movie that has 5 villains and 3 main cast roles that are all Spider-Man. Like you can't capture that same flow and compactness in a Spider-Man movie that you can with a Thor movie that just has like one plot that it's trying to do. Spider-Man No Way Home is trying to do a lot of things at once, and it works. But Thor Ragnarok is just cleaner. So, like, I feel like that's, like, the main difference there. But, I don't know.
Also, some of the best Marvel movies are ones with, like, actual deaths. Like, Yondu dying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
It made that such a good movie. And then Loki dying in Infinity War.
Oh, what a way to start a film. Are you kidding me?
Infinity War is, like, also pretty close to perfection.
That's how you set a freaking tone. Like, I remember people crying when the movie started. They, like, so many people thought... because they'd seen the trailers, and the trailers were ingenious for doing this. They were like, oh man, if Loki dies, I'm going to lose my mind. And it was like, the trailers knew that. They were like, by the way, Loki might die. And then you see the movie, and
everybody was like, how everybody like also thought like at the end of the movie, like they went into like detail of like, oh, you can't see his shadow here, and that means he was doing the mirror thing that
people thought he was still alive. Yeah,
and so everybody thought he was still alive, but like
and then they had to face the cold truth. No, dude, he's gone. And then I actually remember people were still thinking, no, Loki's around, dude, until Loki came out and was like, no, he's not. He's dead. Calm down. Like, Marvel was literally like, can you shut up? It was like a dumb child, like, pulling on your shirt being like, why is he dead? Why is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? No, is he dead? And he's like, he's dead, okay? Let it go. Like, that's just how impactful that opening was. They were like,
also,
yeah, he's dead. That's how serious this movie's gonna get.
That really set it for Thanos being an amazing villain.
And then even the end of the movie was like, yeah, it gets worse. Spider-Man's dead. Groot is dead. Iron Man is sitting there on a planet with Nebula, and all those 10 people who were there, gone. No one is, honestly, like, they're all dying.
Endgame's good, but I prefer just to think, like, Infinity War is the ending.
Yeah, I think Infinity War was actually... I do not like Endgame. I'm going to be completely honest. It might have been one of my least favorite
Infinity
films.
War way over.
Yeah.
Infinity War is just... It's so perfect the way it ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's so ominous or whatever that word is.
I just think if I was able to change one thing about Infinity War, I would like more Captain America.
Yeah.
Because there was,
Totally.
it didn't feel like there was enough Captain
He
America.
felt like
in
he
that
was
movie.
like, he had like some of the most compelling stuff to happen in that movie. And then like, you know, like there's so many characters that's like, well, we can't really make time for Captain America.
I'm okay with that though, because you had that fight on the other planet with Thanos, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and to me, that's like the best part of the movie is that fight.
My favorite part of that film to me is like first of all, everyone's everywhere, so like there's no way to like, it's always intense the whole time near the end. But like the biggest part of it is, you know, Captain America and Iron Man, they've had their fight, like they don't agree. And that duality continues throughout the movie. Like, you can see the people Captain America's fighting with, and you can see the people Iron Man are fighting with, and you can tell the difference. And it's like, that duality continues even into Endgame. Like, there's still this, like, hatred for one another, and they're doing their things differently. And that's ultimately one of the reasons they couldn't fight, like, Thanos. Like, you can't work as a team. You can't beat Thanos. There's no way. And my struggle with Endgame is that they killed Thanos at the beginning. If it was me, I would have... Screw time travel. That's just stupid. Like, what a cop-out. Thanos should have been fully equipped to take on the Avengers again from the beginning of the film. Like, the whole end of the film was dope. That should have been...
The final scene?
Yeah. That should have been the majority of Endgame. But that was like the last
Except
30
for
minutes.
Captain Marvel, who kind of...
Yeah, why she just come in out of nowhere with her Yeezy haircut and just annihilate a shit?
That was like the one Deadpool scene of like, that's just lazy
That's
script writing.
just bad writing. Yeah.
Well,
Like, really? Why hasn't she been here the whole movie? Yeah, she just can't.
Also,
For what reason, dude? If she can do this whole thing by herself, then you actively avoiding Captain Marvel is what is going to make this film resonate. It's like, oh, this just sucks, because if we can just have the solution all the time, she's not here.
No,
you
yeah.
guys are just
And, like,
copping out.
If Thanos is threatening this whole universe, and Captain Marvel's somewhere in that universe, why didn't she come sooner?
And her
Like,
dumb excuse, there are more important things. There are things happening on other planets. More important than Thanos?
Thanos just wiped out half your
Yeah,
planet. Like,
so you're in the middle of the fight not noticing people just vanish out of thin air, and you think you have the
Okay,
audacity
and
to
also,
say
we've
that
all seen
there
the
are more
villains.
important things?
Sorry, I just interrupted you.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm really bad at
No, I was done anyway. Go ahead.
But like, we've seen the villains that Captain Marvel fights. They're not special.
They're not. Even, like, her first film establishes that she has powers now. And even in her own film, the guy that she beats is a single shot from her, like, attack. Like, why are we even bothering with Captain Marvel if she can exist in a universe where no one can beat her? In the Marvels, she actually struggles. Like, if you weren't handicapped by these people, you would probably win this whole fight. So how is the fight even happening? Like, you should have been done and through it by now, but I don't know.
Captain Marvel, I think they've written her terribly.
yeah.
And I owe some of that to Brie Larson's personality, honestly, because she's just horrible at playing anyone that anyone would like. Like, why am I supposed to like Captain Marvel? She's just a douche to everyone all the time, and she's not funny. She's not kind to anyone. She thinks she's better than everyone. Why would I like this
I think
guy?
it would have been way better to just grab this new person who's never, like, actually been in a movie before.
Yeah.
Like, a completely new actor. I mean, maybe, like, somebody who's, like, had some sort of experience.
Right.
So that, like,
Totally.
it can flow and everything. But, like, somebody else would have been way better.
Or, like, here's an idea. How about we hire an actor who's best for the role?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it'd be super hard to do.
Even Star Wars, like, throughout the
Exactly.
whole Mandalorian,
gosh,
the new
they
Mandalorian
hired
series,
Lizzo.
like, Jack Black
why
and
was Lizzo in that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Jack Black I'll excuse, because Jack
Well,
Black is
it's-
actually probably the most capable actor on the planet.
Yeah. But, like, Lizzo...
But I digress. But
Really?
why was Lizzo there?
Like-
and I watched that episode. I was like, she can't even act, bro. Just because you can sing and just because you're famous does not mean you can act.
Yeah.
And you could tell, like, oh, it's moments like those where you're like, okay, you guys are doing this to be inclusive so that people will like you, and for no other reason.
Well, then Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, they get all these famous cameos in there, like Jim from The Office. I forgot his name.
He was playing Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And, just like,
And they're only there to die, too. Like, why include these people?
yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Endgame is like again, that's like a cop-out. Like, you're doing this to intentionally get out of something that you made. You are the problem, and you're trying to fix it by just making it all okay. And that's what Endgame was the whole time. Oh, Thanos is hurt, so let's kill him. Oh, we can't get the Infinity Stones anymore? Let's time travel. Like, what was
That's
the
what
plan?
I liked about Infinity War so much, because, like, this is the one time that, like, the heroes of the story don't actually win. Like, the villain is the one that, like, takes control of it.
Like, there's actual stakes here, and you can't do anything about it. And then Endgame's like, actually, yeah, we can. We can fix literally everything with no consequences.
Oh, also, Thor Ragnarok.
Except Iron Man dying, which was the most impactful scene of the entire film. But that's it. Like, Captain America dies too, of old age, after he goes back in time to, lose his virginity. Like, what was the point of this? Like, oh my gosh, it's just so many things.
Back to that lazy writing
Back
again.
to that lazy writing. Deadpool will be losing his mind. Yeah. And also, guess who's going to be in the MCU soon too? Deadpool. And Wolverine, who's dead. I watched Logan. He was dead. Sorry,
technically, the villain wins in Thor Ragnarok, which kind of makes it good.
True, but that like
not like
in the film's
like
essence of itself, though. Like, it's like the movie ends before Thor or Loki loses, though. So like, again, like I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, technically Thanos comes in at the end and he's like, haha, no. But like, again, that's another thing. Infinity War was like, by the way, all of Thor Ragnarok, meaningless. Everything that the Avengers are prepared for to keep the world safe, meaningless. Because Thanos is here, and he's going to kick your butt. And he's going to curb stomp Iron Man. And he's going to curb stomp Thor. He doesn't care.
Thanos killed, like, everyone on the ship. Besides, like, Thor, right?
Yeah, except Thor, who he, didn't know was going to live, because he does end up living. Thor and Hulk end up surviving.
Well,
because
wasn't Valkyrie on the ship, too?
Yes.
Was she?
Because that's what confuses me. Because she lives.
I thought she left the ship, but I might be wrong.
Well, no, she died, right?
No, she's in Love and Thunder.
She's in every movie.
And she's in Endgame.
Yeah. She comes in Endgame on her giant horse to save the day with all the other female protagonists.
Oh,
which was, by the way, the dumbest scene in the whole film. I love feminism. Okay?
I get it.
Women are
trying
great.
to be feminist.
I love women so much I would kiss a woman.
I
okay?
love what they were trying to get to,
but it was comically bad.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, good thing all of these female characters showed up in the exact same spot all at once to make Spider-Man look like a nerd.
With Marvel,
good job, guys.
They try to do all these feminist things these days, and I'm pro-feminist, but they're going about feminist the wrong
Yeah, guess
way.
what? You know who was already cool before they tried to be inclusive about everything? Black Widow. Did she need to be overly pushed to be the greatest character of all time, like Captain Marvel? Absolutely not. She just existed and was dope because it was Black Widow. She was just cool. But then they're trying to add all these characters to intentionally make, especially in Love and Thunder, they were like, oh, by the way, Thor's an idiot. Completely stupid. Ragnarok, he was dumb, but he wasn't incapable of living on his own. But then Love and Thunder rolls in, and every woman is smarter than Thor, and every woman has more power than Thor. And it's like, okay, is it wrong to just, have characters who... Also, that girl came in out of nowhere and is stronger than Thor. She didn't even work for it. Would it be so awful?
She just handed it.
Yeah. Just like Captain Marvel.
She-Hulk.
Exactly. She-Hulk and Captain Marvel have the same thing. Is it so wrong to have these characters develop into cooler characters? In my opinion, I think Rey is a better example of that. I don't think it's as shoved down your throat as Captain Marvel is. But Rey worked to be stronger in the films. And say what you want about those films, but Rey's character development was rocky, but on point at least. She worked towards being stronger.
Force Awakens
was amazing. Yeah. But then Marvel's over here nah, dude, they can just be stronger because we want them to.
I think that's the problem, though, is that...
Except Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's dope.
They try being feminist and it doesn't go well. When they weren't caring about
when feminists were just cool, when girls were just cool, it wasn't that bad.
They had better female characters.
Yeah, and actors who could act.
Strong. And
Black Widow kicked Hawkeye's butt.
Yeah.
No issue. And, what was her other... Wanda, at first, was freaking dope. I thought she was awesome. WandaVision rolls around, I don't like her so much. But, you had these characters. No one was... It feels like they were... Marvel and Disney, and Star Wars, actually, are all just trying to satisfy whoever is going to print them the most money. So, when movies are good and time's rolling around, people are like, oh, wow, these movies are great. And then, someone who's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's not enough of this in this movie. Marvel's like, okay, well, we can include that. I guess. But now it's like, oh my gosh, someone complained that Hulk was a man. Guys, what do we do? And then someone was like, let's make Hulk a girl. It's like, that exists,
Which
right?
I'm okay
and someone was
with
like, yeah,
She-Hulk,
sure, let's
but-
just make it
Well,
She-Hulk
it
is better
does.
than Hulk, day one.
It's
Like,
just-
dude,
Kind of sad.
can we just have earned character development?
Well, and also,
You know how Spider-Man
also-
gets better over time? Let's just do
they're
that.
also making them like these TV shows. I'm not a big fan of the TV
Oh my
shows.
gosh,
If they
they're
just
awful.
made it a
besides
movie,
Loki,
except
and
Loki.
WandaVision at first was actually really cool. Like, when they were, like... When WandaVision was coming out, it was good. Now I'm like, this is alright. Like,
It got progressively worse.
it got progressively worse.
Yeah.
And it only, like, feels worse now that it's not a mystery at all. It's like, okay, well, now we know everything. Throw it out the window. It's not cool anymore. But, like, these TV shows suck. They're giving these characters no time to develop at all. They're just falling apart. And so I'm really scared for how these Spider-Man movies are going to come out. Because Madam Web is a cool character. And I love those characters and all those Spider-Girls. But, like... I don't know if I trust it anymore. It's so freaking... It's terrifying to think about who's handling those big characters like that.
well, also when they're pushing for all, like, they make the woman so strong now. And not that they weren't strong before. In fact, I think the women were stronger in the other Marvel movies, the older ones. But, like, they're forcing it so much, it seems like, are you trying to say women are weak?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you guys
It's
are
like,
almost
this-
countering what you're trying to do here.
Exactly.
Like, taking these girls who are already kicking butt. Like, Shuri in Infinity War is, like, the
Yeah.
most intelligent human being on the planet.
Well, you got Mantis even.
Yeah, freaking
Who's-
Mantis
Yeah.
is dope. Or, like, what's her name? Wasp is like Ant-Man, but literally just cooler. Like, she's just better than Ant-Man because she's
Like
been training.
wings.
Yeah, and not only that, she's the inventor's daughter, so she literally knows everything about fighting like Ant-Man and using the Ant-Man suits. Like, those characters were cool because we already knew they were cool. You don't have to
But
shove it
the
down
thing
our
is-
throats.
There never was a feminism problem in the MCU. Like, they act
No.
like, oh, the women aren't...
Yeah, they're acting like the women
good
were
enough.
oppressed before. Like,
Yeah.
dude, Black Widow was on the strongest team of fighters in the world and holding her own, and she doesn't have any superpowers.
They were just loved characters, but now, like...
I liked characters when I was allowed to like characters instead of being like, by the way, you should like this character right now.
They were being feminist when they weren't being feminist.
Yeah. And honestly, it's not that I have any problem with being inclusive. Being inclusive is super important.
But they were inclusive before.
They were inclusive always.
Racially
so it's like,
and gender.
yeah, like remember how War Machine is just Iron Man but cooler? A lot of these situations that I'm talking about, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, is like, oh yeah, this inclusive version of his character was that guy but cooler. Like, what's... I don't get it. This is ridiculous. Like, Miles Morales
Yeah,
is
no,
Spider-Man
actually.
but with electricity and invisibility.
Bro, everyone
He's one of my
loves
favorite
Miles.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's one of the best
Yeah.
ones. I personally hold Peter Parker dear in my heart, so I like him better.